bread, the one thing you thought was safe. But what if the soft roll holding your sandwich was the most dangerous part of the meal, hidden behind words like artisan, fresh baked, and wholesome? The truth is far uglier. A 2023 consumer audit found that over 65% of fast food chains use chemical additives in their bread linked to asthma, migraines, and even behavioral disorders. Some buns tested didn't mold for 20 days. And that's not a miracle, that's a warning. Ask yourself, how many times have you eaten a sandwich without questioning what's in the bun? How many times did it taste? Just a little too perfect. This isn't about flavor, it's about deception, exposure, and a corporate war on your trust. This is the Downturn Report, where the truth gets personal. Today we will break down the horrible secrets about bread at these 7 restaurants. Let's begin. Number 1. Subway. You didn't walk into Subway expecting deception. You walked in expecting lunch. A decent one. Something you could afford. Customize. Pronounce. And if the ad was telling the truth, trust. It wasn't a greasy drive-thru or a mystery meat diner. It was the place with that warm bread smell wafting out like a handshake, inviting you in with the promise of something fresh. But what happens when the bread that built the whole brand turns out to be the biggest lie in the room? When the Irish Supreme Court ruled in 2020 that Subway's bread didn't legally qualify as bread, jaws didn't just drop, they cracked. The reason: sugar. Too much of it. So much, in fact, that it legally pushed the dough out of the bread category and straight into pastry territory. Your turkey sandwich may have tasted wholesome, but it packed more sugar per gram than a slice of pound cake at a church potluck. And this wasn't a rounding error, this was 5 times the legal sugar limit in Ireland. So while you thought you were eating light, you were basically chewing dessert dressed up in deli meat. But let's sweeten the deal, or rather, sour it further. Until 2014, Subway's bread recipe also included azotic carbonamide. Don't worry if you can't pronounce it. Neither could the people baking it. It's the same chemical used to puff up yoga mats and the soles of flip-flops. Not exactly grandma's secret recipe. The World Health Organization flagged its byproducts as potentially cancer-causing in animals, and linked it to asthma in humans. Subway only ditched it after public backlash went viral, not because they cared, but because they got caught. You weren't eating a sandwich, you were taking a bite out of a chemical compromise. Step behind the counter and things get even crustier. Employees have shared stories that would make a food inspector faint moldy bread wiped clean and reused. Dough stored past expiration. Rolls left uncovered overnight next to floor drains. One former manager posted photos showing black speckled tubs of bread dough that were simply brushed off and popped in the oven for tomorrow's lunch rush. Apparently, in the Subway universe, mold is just extra seasoning. The myth of baked fresh daily collapses faster than a foot long in the sun. In reality, bread arrives frozen, mass-produced in regional factories, and is then baked in small convection ovens by underpaid workers who don't even know what's in the mix. One viral video showed an employee steaming dried-out sandwich rolls with a mop steamer, the same kind used to clean floors. If you've ever wondered what corporate corner cutting tastes like, it's probably that soggy bread you thought was toasted, even more sour. The lawsuits. A 2021 claim accused Subway of selling tuna that allegedly contained no actual tuna. If they're willing to fake the fish, how much trust can you place in the flour? When every layer of your lunch becomes suspect from the meat to the mayonnaise, what exactly are you eating if you're looking to escape the bait and switch of chain sandwich shops? You might want to find comfort in the kind of bread you can smell baking from down the block. In cities like Chicago or Buffalo, local bakeries like Panino's or Al's Deli are still kneading dough by hand, skipping the preservatives and shortcuts. And for folks watching the wallet or stuck at home, a $40 bread maker can turn 5 honest ingredients into loaves more trustworthy than anything packed in a box truck and warmed under fluorescent lights. Subway didn't just serve sandwiches, it served an illusion. And while you were building your perfect sub, they were building a reputation on sugar-soaked dough, factory fixes, and corporate white lies. Now that the crust is cracked, it's clear what looked like lunch was actually a long con in sandwich form. Number 2. Jimmy John's. Some sandwiches arrive fast. Jimmy John's didn't just arrive fast, it sprinted, slid across the counter, and landed in your hands like a quarterback pass at 4th and goal. They didn't sell food, they sold adrenaline wrapped in paper. If you blinked, you missed it. For folks clocking in and out on tight breaks, pinching pennies for something not fried, it felt like the sandwich shop that finally got it. No gimmicks, just quick, clean food that didn't waste your time. But speed can be a tricky thing because when everything moves that fast, Who's stopping to check if the bread is even worth biting into? Let's pull the first thread on the illusion. Baked fresh daily, they say. Like there's a smiling baker in the back hand-rolling loaves like it's a French countryside bakery. What you actually get bread baked once, early in the morning, then left to lounge on racks for hours until it either dries out or gets recycled. Multiple former employees across Ohio, Kentucky, and Texas have gone public that stale bread is spritzed with water, tossed back into the oven for a reheat, then slapped on your sandwich like nothing happened. Sometimes it's from the day before, flipped upside down, slathered in sauce, and masked with lettuce. You're not eating a fresh sandwich you're biting into yesterday, reheated and disguised. And what about the people making that bread? A lawsuit from Illinois in 2016 exposed labor abuses that read more like a factory novel than a food chain lawsuit. Workers at a Jimmy John's dough center describe being forced to endure 14-hour shifts in warehouse temperatures reaching 100 degrees, with no fans, no AC, and no breaks. People fainted. Some vomited on the prep floor. The dough might have been rising, but so were the body temperatures of the exploited workers. It's hard to trust a sandwich when the bread it's built on comes soaked in exhaustion and cut corners. Jimmy John's loves to brag about being local and made to order. But here's the twist, the dough isn't made in your city, it's mass-produced at industrial plants, frozen, then shipped across the region in temperature-controlled trucks. Stores don't bake bread, they finish it. That fresh-baked smell you catch, it's corporate theater, staged for effect. Even sandwich making is turned into a stopwatch contest. Employees are told to hit 30 seconds or less. If you can make something edible, let alone ethical, in that time, you're not making food, you're playing fast food Tetris with a timer. Then there's the mold reel. Visible. Documented. Health inspections from Missouri to Arizona have caught loaves stored in cracked bins under leaking pipes, and warming drawers with active fly nests. One video from Texas in 2022 showed a manager calmly brushing mold off bread and saying it was just on the surface. Maybe to them. Bread is like a wall, just slap on a fresh coat of mayo and nobody notices the cracks. But perhaps nothing says more about a company than the man who started it. Jimmy John Todd, the face behind the name, became infamous for trophy hunting endangered animals. Not just a bad headline, a reflection of a mindset that sees resources, lives, even trust, as things to be taken, not earned. When that attitude bakes its way into the bread, what are you really chewing on now? Imagine paying $10 for a sandwich made from factory frozen dough, cooked in moral apathy, sold in under 30 seconds. And wrapped in paper as thin as the company's ethics. Suddenly that freaky fast sandwich tastes freaky hollow, but you can choose better, without choosing slow. In San Francisco, Boudin still uses a sourdough starter older than most states and it's cared for like family. Down south, La Baguette still believes in small batches and big flavor. And if those places are out of reach, you'd be surprised what you can do with King Arthur flour, warm water, and time. A no-knead bread recipe, an oven, and a bit of patience will remind you what real bread is supposed to feel like alive. Honest. And not afraid of being slow. Because the bread you eat shouldn't come at the cost of another person's sweat, your trust, or your stomach. And when a sandwich chain treats time as more important than truth, what they're really feeding you is a lie in 30 seconds flat. Number 3. Panera bread. It looked like wellness. A soft glow from that leafy green logo, the hum of jazz echoing off brick walls, fireplaces flickering near tables where laptops clicked, and salads were snapped for social media. It didn't feel like fast food. It felt like a sanctuary in a strip mall. Panera bread was where you went to feel responsible. Whole grain bread, broccoli cheddar soup in a warm sourdough bowl. Food that made you feel like you were making the better choice. But sometimes the cleanest places hide the dirtiest truths, and under that golden crust was a deception as stale as week-old focaccia. They paraded their famous no-no list, promising a break from the chemical swamp that drowns most processed food. But a 2021 report by the Environmental Working Group uncovered phosphate-based additives lurking in some of Panera's most beloved breads. Yes, even the rustic baguettes and whole grain loaves. These additives are no joke, linked in clinical studies to kidney disease and rapid aging. It wasn't just soup in a sandwich, it was a prescription for problems, served with a sprig of basil and a smile. The illusion of fresh baking was the next to crumble. While your eyes saw wicker baskets of bread behind the counter, Workers behind the scenes saw cardboard boxes of frozen loaves being hauled in, thawed, warmed, and slapped with the freshly baked label like it was a name tag at a wellness seminar. One employee from Florida broke the spell on TikTok, saying plainly, if you think we bake from scratch, you've been lied to. Some of it's thawed this morning. Some steamed back to life from yesterday. It's not artisanal, it's animated leftovers. That thaw-to-serve system comes with its own rot. Extended freezer storage means flavor fades, texture dies, and mold creeps in unnoticed, or worse, ignored. A former manager from Colorado posted photos of baguette shipments where the bottom layer was dotted in green fuzz, their fate wiped off, rebaked, and slid into your soup order like nothing happened. One customer in Texas described her whole grain slice as tasting funky, like sour beer. That wasn't fermentation, that was flat-out spoilage. And the cracks go deeper than dough. In 2019, Panera employees filed a lawsuit accusing the chain of forcing unpaid prep before clocking in, especially around early morning frozen bread deliveries. Teenagers were allegedly hauling boxes in freezing conditions with no gloves, no compensation, no concern. Panera's warm, cozy image doesn't quite extend to the freezer where real work gets done. The response, a quiet settlement and a tighter gag order. In 2016, they launched their Clean Food campaign, a move they claimed made them industry leaders in transparency. But transparency turned opaque in 2023. When it was revealed their bread bowls contained over 1,300 milligrams of sodium, more than half the FDA's recommended daily limit. Not only was that fact buried, Panera kept calling those bowls wholesome, selling salt bricks in a bread bowl and calling it wellness. That's not food marketing, it's nutritional gaslighting. And here's the part that stings most, their whole grain breads. The ones that make you feel virtuous, often contain less than 2 grams of fiber per serving. That's the same as regular white bread. So while the label might say whole grain, your body might as well be eating sandwich fluff. It's not nutrition, it's narrative. If you're starting to feel like the cafe was more costume than kitchen, you're not alone. There are bakeries that don't perform wellness, they practice it. Maison Kaiser in New York and DC still bakes daily, preservative-free. Flour to crust. Grindstone Bakery in California uses ancient grains and slow fermentation where flavor isn't rushed and health isn't faked. And if you're on a budget, Amish-run bakeries, with no freezer trucks or factory additives, still craft loaves with the kind of care that doesn't need a campaign to prove it. Bread shouldn't lie to you. It should rise with purpose, not propaganda. And when a chain like Panera turns a hearth into a stage, what they're feeding you isn't health, it's hubris, reheated by marketing. Number 4, McDonald's. You didn't pull into McDonald's expecting a farm-to-table artisan loaf. You wanted something hot, cheap, and fast, maybe a bun soft enough to cushion a salty patty, or that golden egg sandwich that tastes like routine and childhood all at once. McDonald's was never supposed to be fine dining. It was roadside reassurance. But under all that grease and branding, no one warned you that the most dangerous part of your meal wasn't the meat, it was the bread. Let's talk chemicals. McDonald's buns are laced with ammonium sulfate and calcium propionate names that sound like a chemistry class flunked by flavor. Why are they there to fight off mold and make the texture feel like a memory foam mattress? But ammonium sulfate is also used in fertilizers, and calcium propionate has been tied to behavioral changes in children, including hyperactivity and migraines. According to the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, that warm, fluffy bun might be more neurotoxic than nourishing. It's like putting your lunch in a lab coat and pretending it's a chef. But it doesn't stop at what's baked in. From 2021 to 2023, multiple McDonald's locations across Florida, Georgia, and Ohio failed sanitation inspections not for the fries, not for the meat, but for the bread. In Georgia, buns were found stored next to buckets of degreaser. In Florida, rodent droppings were discovered in bread bins. And in a Cincinnati store, bread trays sat directly beneath a leaking HVAC pipe, dripping a mysterious brown liquid. If you've ever dipped your toast in soup, imagine doing it with ceiling runoff. That's the level of care some buns received. And don't forget the people behind the production line. In 2018, a Guardian investigation exposed horrendous working conditions in third-party bun factories that supplied McDonald's. Workers were pushed through 14-hour shifts in factories topping 110 degrees, no breaks, no fans, and little protection from dangerous machinery. The vast majority were undocumented, and injuries burns, crushed fingers. Heat stroke were treated like line item losses. So when the slogan says "I'm loving it," Ask who's doing the loving, because it clearly wasn't the folks baking your bun. Then comes the Frankenstein shelf life. You've heard the stories, the hamburger that didn't rot. Photographer David Whipple showed the world what a McDonald's burger looked like after 20 years it hadn't grown mold. At all. The bun held its shape like it was embalmed. Mold didn't want it. Time forgot it. That isn't bread, that's packaging wearing a sesame hat. Even the toast is a lie. That warm, just toasted touch. It's produced by industrial conveyor toasters that coat buns with margarine full of artificial flavors and TBHQ, a petroleum-based antioxidant that's banned in some countries. The result is a fake golden glow. It's not caramelization, it's costume makeup for bread. Now, if that all sits heavy, you're not stuck. Fuddruckers may not be on every corner, but their buns are made in-house daily. And you can see the ovens behind glass, no secrets, no frozen lies. In Michigan, Zingerman's Bakehouse offers buns with organic flour and no lab coat in sight. And if you're living modestly, Great Harvest Bread Company has whole grain rolls that expire in days because they're supposed to. They might cost less than your burger meal and won't outlive your dog, because real bread goes stale. It doesn't outlive the person who bought it. And when McDonald's serves you a bun that can survive nuclear winter, maybe it's time to stop asking if it's cheap and start asking if it's food. In the end, that sesame-covered puff might not be part of your meal. It might be the packaging you accidentally swallowed. Number 5. Arby's. You didn't go to Arby's for fries or fountain drinks. You went because it felt different. It wasn't another soggy burger or a reheated slice of cardboard masquerading as pizza. It was roast beef, shaved thin and piled high, nestled between hoagie rolls that looked like they might have just come out of someone's home oven. Arby's sold you grown-up fast food something hearty, something proud. We have the meats, they declared, as if they were offering armor instead of lunch. But the truth, what they really had was a ticking time bomb baked into the bread. Let's rip off the foil. Arby's doesn't bake bread on site. Not even a little. They're rolls, buns, and artisan loaves are churned out in industrial factories, frozen into stiff blocks, and hauled across states in refrigerated trucks like culinary cinder blocks. By the time that bread reaches your tray, it's been thawed and tossed into a warming drawer, not unlike forgotten leftovers reheated for a dinner party that never happened. Employees have reported that once defrosted, those loaves are often left uncovered in plastic bins for hours, sweating under the heat like a dish towel on a dashboard. No bakery aroma, no fresh crackle, just limp humidity and chemical fatigue. And if you think that's gross, health inspectors have thought worse. In 2022, a North Carolina Arby's was slapped with a shutdown order after visible mold was found on their sandwich buns. Not just a dot or two full blotches. The kicker staff had been wiping off the mold with napkins and serving the buns anyway, one worker admitted. We were told to flip the bun and serve it, throwing it out was wasting product. Moldy bread, recycled with a spin and a shrug. It wasn't food, it was fungus in disguise. The preservatives aren't any prettier. A class action lawsuit in 2019 revealed that a former Arby's bread supplier was instructed to stretch shelf life using extra calcium propionate and sorbic acid preservatives, flagged in multiple studies for causing everything from migraines to stomach distress. Yet Arby's didn't mention this in their menus. Instead, they leaned on words like brioche style and artisan roll, wrapping processed dough in poetry to distract from the rot. It's like selling an air freshener as oxygen, temperature safety. That's another silent casualty. Employees in Nevada and Oklahoma described broken warming drawers holding bread at unsafe temperatures, hovering between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit for hours, a bacterial playground. Worse, some bread trays were cycled through the heater 3 times a day. By the third reheat, what's left is less bread and more sponge soaked in steam, struggling to hold shape beneath a mountain of greasy meat. Even the taste can't save it. Food critics from Eat This, Not That, and Business Insider have repeatedly torched Arby's bread for being rubbery, flavorless, and weirdly sweet like it came out of a vending machine in a hospital lobby. This is the bread meant to support Arby's biggest brag, their piles of meat. But it doesn't support. It collapses, falls apart, leaves your hands sticky, your sandwich unheld, and your patience tested. But perhaps the most spoiled part isn't the bread, it's the silence. When questioned about the quality, Arby's responded not with change, but with commercials, deep baritone voices, close-up meat shots, Saturated colors, a marketing mirage, no apologies, no fixes, just a louder voice telling the same old lie with a prettier filter. So where do you go when even the bread turns its back on you? Certainly not back to the frozen deception of other chains. Try Neater's Bakery and Cafe out west, where bread is rolled and baked fresh every morning with ingredients you can pronounce. Or check out Wheatfields in Kansas, where the ovens are warm, not the marketing. And if you've got a Mexican panaderia nearby, grab a fresh bolillo. They're warm, crusty, honest, and cheaper than a combo meal with a moldy hoagie. Because bread should be the part of the meal that holds everything together, not the part that collapses into warm, chemical mush. And when a place like Arby's chooses preservatives over freshness, silence over accountability, and marketing over truth, what they're serving isn't a sandwich, it's the edible equivalent of a shrug with a sesame seed on top. Number 6. Wendy's. It gave off that polished look, sleek signage, square patties, and that familiar claim ringing from every commercial break quality is our recipe. Wendy's wasn't trying to be flashy, it was trying to feel a step above, like the grown-up cousin of the drive-thru burger world. And that toasted bun, the one that looked like it came from a boutique bakery, peeking out from behind spotless counters, that was supposed to be the proof. But the deeper you dig into the bread, the faster that illusion crumbles, and what's left behind is less fresh-baked and more corporate theater with grill marks. Let's start with the shelf life they don't advertise. Reports from former employees in Texas, Ohio, and Arkansas describe a pattern that's more rotisserie than recipe. Buns stored for up to 3 days in plastic bins, 6 to 8 hours in warming drawers, slowly turning into dehydrated cushions. One Illinois worker admitted they'd smear cold buns with butter or hit them with a little steam to fake the softness before sliding them onto your sandwich. And if the bread turned too hard to fool anyone, it was spritzed with water, microwaved into submission, and sent right back under the heat lamp. That's not food, it's fast food taxidermy. But dry bread is one thing, moldy bread is another. A 2022 health violation report from a Utah Wendy's found bread drawers filled with crumbs, grease, and signs of mold. The mold didn't just grow, it thrived in the heat. Similar citations in Pennsylvania and Nevada uncovered buns stored beside leaking jugs of cleaning solution, or beneath sagging ceiling tiles stained with moisture. One inspector put it mildly, the storage area posed contamination risks from above. Translation: you might have been eating a burger cradled in ceiling juice. And it wasn't just rot, it was risk. In late 2022, a family filed suit after their child suffered a severe allergic reaction from a sesame-laced bun. Why was sesame there? Because Wendy's quietly reformulated their bread to include it on purpose. Why to sidestep new FDA labeling rules? Instead of avoiding cross-contamination, they added sesame to everything so they wouldn't have to separate it. That wasn't carelessness. That was a cost-saving strategy dressed as bread, and someone's health paid the price. Even the ingredients behind the scenes come with a warning. A 2021 audit of one of Wendy's bun suppliers revealed their flour was bleached and enriched using benzoyl peroxide, a chemical banned in Europe and China due to respiratory risks. But hey, it makes the bun look bright white, and that makes the burger pop on camera. Right? Apparently. It's easier to market a sandwich than to clean up what holds it together. Taste-wise, the reviews don't sugarcoat it, though the bread apparently does. Customers on Yelp and TripAdvisor regularly describe Wendy's buns as dry, dense, and oddly sweet. That's no accident. These buns are engineered to survive, not delight, built to endure long hauls in freezer trucks, reheat cycles, and entire shifts under warming trays. They were made to look like bread, not act like it. So what does Wendy's do when caught in this floury illusion? They double down. They slap premium on the label, roll out frozen ciabatta and pretzel buns shipped from massive off-site factories, and flood the airwaves with melted cheese and slow-motion lettuce drops. It's the same bread, just with new makeup and better lighting. It's a sandwich in a costume, if that feels insulting. It should, but you've got better choices. Big Sky Bread Company, down south, still uses real honey instead of chemicals and closes shop on holidays like it's still a neighborhood bakery. Or check out your local Vietnamese or Hmong bakeries where banh mi baguettes are baked daily by hand. With crust you can hear and ingredients you can pronounce. You'll spend less, eat better, and support real craftsmanship. Because bread is supposed to be honest. It's supposed to hold your sandwich together, not your skepticism. And when a place like Wendy's lets their buns sit stale, steam fluffed, allergen soaked, and chemically bleached, The only thing square about their burger is the integrity they left off the menu. Number 7, Burger King. It sold itself as the rebel, the chain that grilled instead of fried, wore a crown instead of a clown, and let you have it your way. But the deeper you dig into Burger King's buns, the more it feels like fast food's royal conjob. That toasted bread they brag about, often microwaved in plastic wrap to save time, sometimes until the wrapper melts right into the bun. In 2023, customers online described chemical and burnt plastic aftertastes. A California employee admitted it wasn't rare to find inner bun layers scorched or rubbery. So much for flame-grilled flavor, more like flame-fused disappointment. Sanitation tells another story. A Tennessee location was cited for storing buns near mop sinks and grease traps. In Missouri, inspectors found flies nesting in bread drawers, and soggy buns being reserved across shifts. North Dakota moldy buns, sliced, toasted, and sold after a quick scrape. You weren't eating lunch, you were gambling with fungus. And these aren't hand-baked rolls, they're industrial bricks made in bulk. Burger King's buns are laced with ammonium chloride. Datem. And other dough conditioners flagged for gut irritation and chemical sensitivity. Business Insider reports they're baked by the hundreds of thousands daily, optimized for appearance, not health. Even after pledging in 2019 to ditch artificial additives, tests in 2023 found preservatives like calcium propionate still baked in. So when even the King's bread crumbles under scrutiny, you turn elsewhere, maybe to Beeler's or a local Eastern European bakery where the only ingredients are flour, salt, water, and honesty. Because no crown can hide the stench of moldy, microwaved lies, when even the bread lies. What else are we swallowing? Choose truth over branding. Eat what's real because your health, your trust, and your table deserve better than reheated deception.
Thanks so much for sticking with us to the very end. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like and subscribe so you won't miss any of our daily updates. And now feel free to check out some of our latest and most popular videos showing up on your screen. Goodbye, and see you in the next one.